All right, guys, we are live. We usually use this first minute or two trying to just let people get in here, get some viewers in here because we're going live. We got the chat room so people can ask questions, but we are here with Matt Chatlin of Own the Play. We're going to do introductions in a little bit. You know, when we just fully start, we're going to re-release this video tonight after we edit it. So anyone who's watching it live will be able to see it and ask questions and stuff. But then we're going to put some graphics on it and try to edit it and make it look really nice and presentable. So this is all getting cut out.
You promised I'll be better looking after all the editing, so I'm in.
Let's see what we can do. Maybe get some of this this quality going for us. Let's just get some viewers in here. Just make sure everybody's get the chance. Check it out. We're not going to be going over the specific slate, I don't believe, so don't expect any picks or anything like that. We will be talking about his website and how it is different in the industry.
Yeah, and so Ben, it's pretty much illegal for me to say play Russell Westbrook today. But if we want to talk about kind of, as you and I were just kind of talking before we got on this video, some general strategies that I used to use as a player. You know, I saw great success, I would say in 2013, 14 when I was playing as a daily fantasy player. So I'll share anything, you know, let's get some of those ideas out there. I'm all for it.
All right, cool. So let's use this as the start of the video. All right, guys, this is XBenJamminx, otherwise known as xBenJamminx on all of the DFS websites and Twitter. We are joined with Matt Chatlin, the creator and owner of OwnThePlay.com. We are going to be interviewing Matt and talking about what makes his site different and the new products that he is offering compared to the giants in the industry like Fanduel and Draftkings. So, Matt, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And just so your audience knows how cool this is, Ben really contacted me 45 minutes ago, and we just did it. So there was very little prep. It's just kind of as I said to Ben, ask me anything you want. I've lived this my entire life. I have nothing to be afraid of. And I'm really excited. Ben's a really nice guy, and this should be fun.
Cool, great, man. I'm really glad that you want to do this. I'm just going to be one for something.
We're going to cut this part.
Whatever. It's all good. All right, so what I want to start with is I'd like to know, you know, a little bit about you and who you are. So let's go with where do you live? How old are you? What is your past experience in life? And let's really see if we can dig a little bit into who you are and why you even wanted to create the website to begin with.
Sure, thanks, Ben. So 32 years old, born and raised, and lived most of my life here in Michigan. It's been a fact, Michigan born and bred. So a little bit about myself. I played 6 million hands of poker before I was the founder of Own the Play. That'd be physically impossible pre-internet. Maybe 100 other people around the globe can make the same claim. So between 2001 and 2006, I was playing the highest limits in the world online. I'd still be playing poker if the U.S. government did not make internet poker illegal in 2013, or 2011, I should say. I left the country in 2011 to continue to pursue playing poker. I did so for a few years and came back in 2013 and really just didn't want to live the band on the run lifestyle that I was living. So I started playing daily fantasy a lot. As I said, if internet poker was illegal, wasn't illegal, this company would never existed. If this company didn't exist, I would be a DFS player. I love the game. I saw great success as a player. I won tournaments on Fanduel, DraftKings, and Draft Street across every sport. So, you know, saw some great success there, but really just thought I could design something far better. And that's really where the idea of Own the Play first started, where I was hand drawing out the website in 2013. got funding from Inkwell, which is a VC firm here in Michigan. Inkwell's founding partner is Tom Lasorda, former CEO of Chrysler. One of the limited partners is Roger Penske. Don't know if there's Roger Penske trucks in New York.
I don't believe so.
Roger Penske trucks pretty much everywhere else. He's the CEO of what is a multi-billion-dollar company. Really America's most successful athlete turned businessman ever. So great investment team really great investment team, very supportive. OwnThePlay is actually in the same building as Inkwell, and I work incredibly closely with the managing director, Simon Bogue. Anyone who's in a startup will tell you, at least I hope they will tell you, that VCs invest with two ways. They invest with their money and they invest with their time. And in both instances, OwnThePlay is the single largest investment of Inkwell. They have 40 total investments. So love the symbiotic relationship that we have with them. And then it kind of speeds up to where we are on the product side. And I'll leave that for some of our questions here. But OwnThePlay has, we got out of beta for the first week of the NFL season. Since then, we've become the fastest growing new daily fantasy site. We have the fastest growing new game in daily. I have an announcement that I can make today that is going to be very, very cool that I think all of your audience will like. And we also have another kind of announcement we'll be making in the next 10 days. So I think what I know that Ben has liked in our conversations, and I hope that your audience will enjoy as well, is that we're forever evolving. You know, if you look at OwnThePlay today, when we launched at the beginning of the football season, look at us 2-3 months from now, the product's going to get better. You know, we're not a depreciating asset like a car. We're a software company that software can improve. So I hope that your audience would see that, and the OwnThePlay customers have kind of gotten to know that over the last 4 months. So pretty excited to share all that info.
Awesome. Well, you know, I'm a big fan of the product, and that's kind of how we even met to begin with, because I was just, kind of tweeting out like, hey guys, this new hole card game is really cool. I enjoy it. It was just something that I liked a lot. So you reached out to me after that. And one thing I'd like to mention is you remind me of a friend that I work with around here, and he created these things called incubators, which are they're entrepreneurial launch pads. Yep. So what he does is he brings in startups into a building, and he's trying to make it like a Google-like atmosphere. And what he does is he charges them very low rent to operate in his building, and he actually gives them mentorships and all that kind of stuff and all his connections. And he's very, very successful. And what he does is he takes a little bit of equity from each of the startups, and that's how he makes his money while being able to help them grow and give them a place to start. And the room that you were just in kind of reminded me of one of those incubators. So that's really cool, and you actually have the same personality and really good guy. So I have no problem touting anything for your website.
Well, thanks for that, man. That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, no problem. So I'd like to really discuss what the difference is between your website and the other ones are, and then we'll get into some DFS strategy in general that you've taught me so much in just a few conversations that I think it would be really beneficial to our viewers. So I appreciate that and your openness, and I think it also has to stem with the fact that you don't play anymore, so you don't mind giving up some of the secrets. If you did, I doubt we would be hearing that. So
you're totally true. When I was playing poker, Card Runners, great company. I played against those guys. A lot of those guys actually were the founding members of Draft Day, another DFS site. But I was always surprised at them. Oh, you're giving out your heads up strategy, and now you're going to come play some of these people. I did find that kind of intriguing, and maybe I wouldn't be as free to give out this info, but you're right. I can't play. So, but anyways, kind of going back to some of the differences about OwnThePlay, I would say at a very high level, I am proud of kind of the fact that we always are evolving. I get to rightfully point out that if you're playing on any of my competitor sites, what have they done new in the last 4 months?
Right.
I don't think anything. I mean, I don't I don't know if it's a huge announcement to say that we're no longer going to have 3 outfielders. I don't know. Was that a big deal?
Well, I don't know. I don't. What's product development like over there?
Yeah, I guess, but yeah, product. As I said to you, Ben, I was a little upset when they took our rush entry tool and just copied it. But at the same time, I really hope that more users now see how easy it is to enter games so much faster, and great ways to attack scripts that now hopefully every company really starts to use. But anyway, so what makes OwnThePlay special?
Right.
First point is all of our deposit bonuses have 0 drip. So this was totally a hangover from poker, one that I thought should have died. Essentially, and a lot of other sites, not OwnThePlay, if you deposit $100, you get this $100 bonus, and it drips out at like 4 cents on the dollar. Well, at OwnThePlay, if you deposit 25 bucks, you get 25 instantly. You can put all 50 in play instantly.
Really?
Yep. Deposit $1. We actually allow you to do that, and you get $5 in bonus money. You can put all 6 in play instantly.
Well, Matt, you know what's funny is I didn't even realize that, and one day, you know, I'm pretty sure I started depositing $1. And then the next day, I saw that there was, I think, like 5 or 6 in my account. I was like, wow, I did awesome last night. And I didn't even play. So I guess that's what it was. And that was great. And I've actually built up playing only whole cards so far with a little bit of the regular games mixed in because I'm still trying to learn them. But I built up from that one initial deposit to $41 just naturally not depositing anything. So I'm going to keep trying to see if I could build that up and do the best I can with that. But one thing I'd like to mention is I found a new feature on Google Hangouts, right? So it is a conference call, and what it does is it allows people to actually call in live. So I'm putting the number in the chat right now with the PIN code. I've never done this before. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know what the timing will be like, but I'm going to tweet it out. I'm going to put it in this chat in a few minutes, and after we're done talking about this real quick, so people could actually ask Matt live questions and not have to do it through text. Are you cool with that, Matt?
Yeah. I mean, I would say I know I achieved something if we get like a Howard Stern prank caller in. You know, then we've achieved some level of success and credibility.
Right, and then hopefully that'll make us go viral. But we'll also edit it out. So don't do anything like that, guys. Okay, so let's. I like that drip policy. Or the no drip policy. Actually. What do you have in terms of referrals or bringing people onto the site through your account?
Yeah, so and one other point to that, for anyone that deposits $100 or more, we give 50% rate back for the first month. So I don't know if any other company is offering rate back. To my knowledge, none are. So that would be a part of it. As far as affiliate agreements, I kind of take that on as a case-by-case basis. But we do have a general affiliate agreement, very similar to our refer a friend policy, which is any friend that you refer, you get 15 tournament dollars, and they're used in the exact way I described. So you could put it in play, cash out instantly. There's no restrictions on that once you win. And I'm going to kind of build on that as I talk about one of the other features that we just released actually in the last couple of days, that beat the number game. But hey, so let me touch on some of the other stuff. So you've been mentioning whole card. I love whole card. So one of the concepts that we have and believe strongly here at OwnThePlay is that we should be the company in daily fantasy that creates kind of the next game. In no way do we believe that salary cap is going to be the only game that exists in daily fantasy. It's seen so much success and it is so much fun that we feel that there's going to be multiple proliferations of new games. So Whole Card is a game that we launched about 6 weeks ago. It's now the fastest growing new game in daily. What you do with Hole Card is instead of drafting one player from one team, do we lose you?
No, I'm actually going to I'm showing the screen of Hole Card right now. So
Great.
this is a contest that I did a couple nights ago, or 2 nights ago, I think. And I actually took first place. And what I really want to show people, which I didn't even know about this, Matt, I absolutely love this prize structure right here.
Thanks.
This looks very innovative. I like the fact that it's $5 entry, so it's kind of like a double up where, if you hit that top 30-40%, you're doubling your money, but then you have upside there as well. So it makes it kind of like the way I build my lineups is safety with upside.
Thanks so much. So I do all the prize structures. Something that I want to be as close to being a player as possible. I think that really gives OwnThePlay a competitive advantage. So I'm very much involved in the salaries. I'm very much involved in the prize structures. So definitely complimented by that, Ben. Thanks so much. And we do like the idea of rewarding winning at a pretty high level while still trying to have a pretty deep pay structure at the same time. So you might find that other companies will reward finishing second higher than OwnThePlay does, but I would say it's difficult to believe that they pay out more places or reward first more than we do.
I agree. So I want to kind of show people what this game is and why I like it so much. So while you're talking, I've been showing people the screen of the lineup that I had. There's nothing in store for today, so I can't show them what the lobby would look like because and you'll explain that in a second. But this is what it looks like, guys. So while he's explaining it, check it out over here, and you could see exactly what it is. One thing I'd like to mention as well is they are the first site in the entire DFS industry to show live ownership. So that is very, very new, very important, and something that we will definitely discuss. So, Matt, if you'd like to take it away.
Yeah, so sure. So Hole Card, you're drafting the top 3 fantasy scorers from any real life team. So conceptually, what we really try to attack here is that salary cap. I always viewed it as like the Texas Hold'em of daily fantasy, where amazingly skilled players are able to put themselves into these huge percentage advantage scenarios and do so repeatedly. So, for instance, it's actually documented. I won 88% of the Texas Hold'em or sessions in poker that I played. If I were to play Omaha, which is a different poker game, that 88%, just by the definition of the game, would come down to 70 or 68 or something that's less, while still at the same time, I'm winning at such a high rate, I'm being rewarded for being better. That's the same thing that's going on here in Hole Card, where what we've seen is better players are winning at a very consistent level, but the worst players aren't losing as consistently, and that is because the just definitions and mechanics of the game. Number one, the knowledge base is higher, so it's so much easier for the average fan to be able to say, oh, I feel like the top 3 players on the Patriots are going to perform well today. Or I don't have to choose between Gronk and Edelman on a single day because I'm getting the top 3 players on the Patriots. Or I don't have to choose the $3,900 guy that just destroys today because I'm getting the top 3. 2 more points I want to make to the game. Injuries in the first quarter. You don't automatically lose in this game because you're getting the top 3 players.
Right.
The last important point, I really feel basketball, if I were to just create a fun meter, basketball might actually be the least fun version of Hole Card. And the reason why I say that is because if a guy hits a home run in baseball, if a guy scores a goal in hockey, if he catches a 90-yard pass, all of those would jettison that player most likely into the top 3 and essentially give
they're more important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of keeps you in the game until the final whistle, where a 3-pointer at the end of the game, that might not jettison that player into the top 3. So you do kind of have a different rooting mechanism for the other 3 major sports as you do for the NBA. While at the same time, it's definitely conquering a lot of the things that I think are holes in salary cap.
Right.
So I'm glad that, Ben, you found this game a lot of fun. I'm glad that you're kind of enjoying it for a lot of the reasons that this game was created. It was created here at OwnThePlay. So yeah, I'm just glad and really proud of it being the #1 new game in DFS right now.
Yeah, I think it could actually become that. If guys, I feel like my video isn't showing, so just let me know. I'm trying to work through all these.
Paul's got a very funny face if that's the case.
Yeah. Do you see just a picture of me and my sister?
Yes.
Okay, so let me try to fix through this. So,
how old were you in that one, Ben?
That I must have been maybe 21, 22.
Okay. How old are you now?
All right, I'm 27.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so one thing that I would like to I'd like to talk about first of all is the fact that the game is very different and it's completely different from anything that's out there. But that's not, I mean, that's done on purpose, right? So Matt is trying to create new games, and it seems like there are other things that he's going to be doing, right? So I don't think you could really say that Fanduel and DraftKings have been doing stuff like that for whatever reason. Honestly, I don't know why. They
haven't
don't.
created a new game, Ben. I mean, that's a fact.
No, they haven't.
Since they've been to market, there hasn't been one new game out of either of those companies. But so to what you were saying, I guess that's really it. They just haven't. I don't know why. That would be questions you'd have to ask them.
Right. All right. So let's.
Oh, Ben, let me just chime in. One point though I want to make to it is when you're building your roster, you're doing so structurally right now the same principles. So you have $50,000 in total salary cap, and you're drafting 5 teams. They're just whole card teams that represent the top 3 fantasy scorers. So your audience is very familiar with salary cap. In that way, they're very much will understand how to build that kind of roster.
Okay. I like that. And that's just that's strategy built into why he is creating this site, right? So he's thinking about all this kind of stuff as a DFS player and incorporating what he thinks would be the most fun. And if I was creating a website based on DFS, I think that's the way that I would do it personally. Like if he can't get the joy out of playing it, why not make something that other people would really enjoy? And I appreciate that. I definitely do. That's something great for this industry. I think it's a really cool thing that you guys are doing over there. And one thing that is really drawing me towards your website and trying to move maybe a little bit of money away from FanDuel and DraftKings, the little I play on there, is that it seems like there's less of an edge lately. And I've had a lot of people complaining about the cash line and all this kind of stuff. So that's really something that I've taken notice of. Like, it used to be if you were scoring over 300, you were in pretty good money for the most part on FanDuel. And now you need to average about 305 to hit those cash lines on most nights. So it's getting very incredible. And I feel like with the live ownership that you show, maybe, there aren't a lot of people selling tons of lineups on your site, which inevitably is going to happen, and you can't really stop that, and whatever, like I don't know your take on that. I personally think that and my approach towards all of this is I really want people to if you buy lineups and whatever, I understand because maybe you don't have the time, or maybe you don't know the game as well and you still trying to want to win, but I want to be able to teach people how to play different strategies and different things to focus on to actually give you better edges. And doing these things isn't going to hurt my gameplay because it doesn't really matter what's going on with the people I'm talking to. There's such a large ecosystem of players that me helping out people who are within my circle and the people who come to my website isn't going to affect me personally playing in any way. So that's something that I also enjoy. And I believe on this website you can find those kind of edges, just for the fact that it's different. People don't want to learn the new pricing. But the thing about it is, on your website, it's basically the exact same FanDuel construction, right?
So FanDuel and I, for basketball, we have the same lineup construction. That's definitely true. To touch on your point of, I'll first say something about the buying of lineups and then talk about live ownership. I have no problem. Like, guys, you know, you should have no problem with the buying and selling of lineups. I think at the end of the day, what it will do is, as you're rightfully pointing out, it might raise the bottom bar. So if before the selling of lineups, you could win with a score of 270, now it's 280, that may be true. But what I would also say is it's done is I really equate it to the last huge leg up in daily. I think it's brought in a lot more people into daily.
Right.
And by
I
doing
agree with
that, that benefits everyone. So I don't have a problem with it. I think if someone wanted to create a problem with it, they would make arguments that it's essentially playing syndication, which is outlawed in some terms and conditions across the industry. But I don't have a problem with it, and I won't be creating rules against it here at OwnThePlay,
right.
at least for the near future.
See, I'm a free market guy, right? So I
Yeah.
believe in people do whatever you want, for the most part, as long as it doesn't like physically hurt somebody or maliciously hurt somebody. But I think that there is a need for it with certain people. You know, like if I wanted to play NHL, right, and I was going to a game, let's say, I wanted to play NHL. None of my friends know about it. I would probably look around and be like, I want to stack this game. I don't know who any of the players are or anything, or maybe I just want to play NHL and hopefully, I buy a lineup that has some guys from here or whatever the reason. I know nothing about it. I wouldn't want to waste money throwing away trying to make my own lineup personally. I'd probably go and get someone from either a friend or if I resorted to it, buy it. So I have a different view than most people. I think that it's better off to share. If you have a lineup, instead of selling it to people where, it's not really guaranteed they could win, if you put out a lineup to, a certain group of people and they tip you based on that, I think that's probably a better structure in my opinion. But whatever the case that may be, there are a lot of different opinions on that. So we heard yours, so let's just move forward and go back into OwnThePlay.
Sure.
What other products besides a whole card are you going to be releasing, or what do you have already that maybe is a little different from what we see on Fanduel and DraftKings?
Sure. So I'm gonna touch on a few things then. So we're the first company to offer mass entry tools. So we call it Rush Entry, where in the matter of 3 to 4 clicks, you could enter pretty much every game for a given sport on the website. It was our first attack at scripts. We've had that since almost day one of launch. It's going to continue to be built out as we utilize ways that we know people are entering games. So very cool. It's no risk for anyone to check it out. So all you'd have to do is click the sport, game type, time, click Rush Entry. You're not obligated to enter into anything at that point. So a total of 4 clicks you can enter, or you have the ability to enter every game. So I would just suggest checking that out. 2 other points I'd make. Live ownership, you've touched on it a few times. We're the only company in daily fantasy sports where if you go to OwnThePlay.com right now, and people are going to be drafting their NBA roster as we speak, ownership rates will fluctuate in real time. And this really goes to kind of a lot of the theme here that we have, which is fairness, transparency, creating cooler gameplay, and doing things that close the knowledge gap. No matter what I found in my drawing on my poker history and past, the best players are going to win. It's just a matter of what that rate is. And can we do something that makes it a little bit more even? Kind of takes away some of their competitive edge and spreads it around a little bit more evenly. So that's something that we did with live ownership. One of my favorite examples is Devontae Freeman. So Devontae Freeman in week 2 of the NFL season this year, really weeks 2, 3, and 4, he was owned by like less than 2% of the entire DFS community.
Right, right.
This is a starting running back that's incredibly talented in a high-powered offense, and you only got to see that he was owned by 2% after the fact, so after the draft was done, and it's really giving you yesterday's news and doing nothing for you as a player. So what we thought was, let's show that ownership live, and I guess peeling back a little bit, he was probably owned by the best players in the industry at like over 50%, and that's a swag number, but it's really true. Like, he was owned at such a high rate by some of the better players for all the reasons I said. He's no competition for his carries, and so what live ownership has done on our site is it's taken that 2% number and made it 8 or 10. In no way is it making it 100. It's really just shedding light on this is a guy that's incredibly low owned, and do you as a player want to take a part of that? Go ahead.
And I actually think that's good for cash games. I think it's optimal. Like, if you're trying to choose between players, normally, if you're going into it, and this is just my thought, correct me if I'm wrong or whatever your opinion is. In my experience, you're trying to figure in a regular GPP who's lowest owned and go to them. But I think on your website where everyone can kind of see, I think it's beneficial to, if you're choosing between 2 players, just take the lower owned one, because even if that other guy does well, you think both of them's going to do well. I'd rather have the guy that's lower owned in case of the other bust. And I think that's a GPP strategy on other sites, but can be a cash strategy on yours. And that's what I've personally kind of seen from it. What do you think about that?
Well, I think in a world where we see an equal outcome of 2 athletes, we would absolutely always want to own the guy that's lower owned.
Right.
So I could definitely agree with that. Some concepts that I really like sharing is just how important it is for the guys we don't draft. So for instance, if someone is 50% owned or 30% owned, whatever the case is, you're making a decision just as much by drafting him as you are by not drafting him. And that's really, really important, especially when we, looking at on the play, and this would be true on Fanduel as well, where you have 2 shooting guards you have to choose. So by choosing 2 shooting guards, you're also making a commitment to not choose every other shooting guard that's going that day, and understanding kind of the risk reward to taking or not taking everyone else is really, really important. So that's something I send out in emails probably once a month, where I talk about some of the tips to using live ownership. But that's a general tip really in all of DFS, which is understand that when you don't draft a player, that is an equally powerful decision.
Opportunity cost.
Absolutely, it's a huge factor.
Right. Okay, great. I think we have definitely discussed a lot about the website. I think we have really shed light on some of the new features and some of the differences, and you provided some strategy along the way, and I really appreciate that.
Let me throw in one kind of announcement here, Ben. So
sure, yeah, sure, go for it.
So we just launched our Beat the Score game really in the last 72 hours, where we came up with a number, whether it's through whole card, salary cap, NHL, NBA, doesn't matter. If you beat the score, you win the prize stated in the lobby. What we're going to do in this game, it's so new, right? It's 48, 72 hours old. If you refer a friend who beats the score, you both win. So that's something that we're sending out in an email right now. And I announced it first here on your show. So
that's incredible. Thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone uses Ben's promo code, deposits as little as $1 on the play, they can play all the free games from now till eternity. And if they win, Ben, you get to share in their Beat the Score success. At least it's true. I shouldn't say for now to eternity. For now, for the next week. Gosh, I hear my investors going crazy right now.
That is, Matt, that is an eternity for DFS players when you are betting bankroll. Okay, so you can go a week of losing all your money, and that is an eternity.
Yeah.
I would like to shed light on actually a few of the games that I forgot to mention. So I'm going to be sharing my screen right now for everybody and
Cool.
locking onto my page. Okay, guys, so check this out. And I've seen this in the multiple sports that they offer. And I can't wait for MLB, first of all. That's one of my favorite sport to actually play DFS.
Me too. Me
There
too.
is a game where there is zero entry fee, right? And if you beat this score in general, if you score 410 points, you will get $100 from the website. So this is a free entry, and I was 20 points away in my whole card last night, and I almost came down with $100 just for free. So if you want to deposit,
Ben, let me just make one clarification. So,
sure.
if there is multiple winners, you will split the prize.
Oh, okay.
The prize though is, it won't be 100 forever. It's starting at 100 today. The score is starting at 410 today. But what I can commit to is I love this idea. So I don't see it going away. I just see it improving. As On the Play gets bigger and older.
I agree, and I think it's an excellent idea for players with small bankroll who want to still be able to play but build up. So if that's, I wouldn't mind sharing $100 with four people if I put in nothing, so that's
Right.
great. And there's also, all right, so talk about the different price entries, the entry fees, because I saw there are some very low ones, right?
Yeah, so what I like seeing, both as an owner of On the Play and the single largest shareholder, some of our games have already filled, so they didn't respawn. What you will see a lot in On the Play is when games fill, you'll see a new one respawn and reopen. That is an incredibly common occurrence here. We have games actually as low as a penny. Some of the jokes that we've thrown around in the office is we can show someone on the couch with this huge jar of pennies, and if you have 365 pennies, you can play it On the Play every day of the year this year. Yeah. So we run games generally as low as a penny, as high as 100. That's kind of what the current format is now. We've had some heads-up games that have ran this week at 500, but that's definitely an outlier that's going on now. But almost every single day you'll see games ranging from a penny to 100. Heads ups, we have some people call it anonymous heads ups. I never really understood that label because you know who you're playing against. They're everyone that's entered in that game. So I like calling it heads up paired at start time. So you'll see that feature. I think there's a couple other companies that offer that as well, where you're essentially entering yourself into a heads-up tournament. You get paired with competitors just before the game starts. I will make a note that some companies have released research. On the Play has not released this research, so I can't 100% verify it. But that the lowest score right now being achieved in daily fantasy is actually through heads-ups. So where I do think that there's some fear to, I'm playing this one guy and he's a total shark. Number one, there's no one on the Play that's a shark, because On the Play is actually only 3 months old, and we don't have games that are regularly running at greater than $100. So I don't see that kind of shark component, number one. Number two is that I do believe in the research that is being shown that the lowest possible score right now is occurring in heads-up games. So if I'm your audience, I wouldn't be as fearful of playing heads-up games as maybe I hear some people talk about. So I would be interested in checking those out if I was your audience. And we offer them at a quarter to, as I said, 50 to 100. And we've ran some higher.
See, I actually agree with you there because I play a lot of head-to-heads, and that's where I actually make most of my money,
Right.
especially to kind of pay for any GPPs that I want to enter for the night. So, let's say like a night like last night, I didn't put much money in, right?
Sure.
I did a few head-to-heads. Let's just say, I think I put in $20. I did like $15 in head-to-heads and then a $5 single entry tournament, right? So I still am able to come out profitable, and any money that I lost from that $5 single entry, you know, this is of course if I win most of my head-to-heads, it pays for that, and anything I win in that is basically profit. So that's the way I like to do things sometimes.
I hope you cashed out. I mean,
No, I did not last night
oh,
because
no,
I was
so
at work.
I would say that I doubt you will hear other founders tell you this. Cash out. Like you're not an entrepreneur until you ship a product. You're not a winner in daily fantasy until the money hits your bank account. So don't be afraid to cash out. You can't cash out frequently enough. So
I agree.
I would
That's what
say
I do.
keep that train going. You're never going to be upset as a player saying, "Oh, I cashed out too often." That's just not going to happen. So
But that's how I started. When I first started, within the first 2 weeks of me playing, I won $7,000 in GPPs, and I just cashed them out right away. Paid off all my student loans, paid
yeah, I
off
love
all
that
my
stuff.
credit card debts. But one thing I wanted to ask: what's the rake on the site, and does it fluctuate between different price points or different games?
Almost standard at 10%. We do lower it some as it gets higher.
Okay, so 10%. Do you have any well, of course you probably have the expectation, but what are the plans in terms of creating larger GPPs, maybe get that prize pool up, maybe, you know, $25, $50 head-to-heads or stuff like that? Like, do you need more investments? Do you need more people coming in, or you're just taking it slow with that stuff?
I think it's just a matter of time. I mean, I think as I said, OwnThePlay is such a young company, and we're releasing kind of new products almost daily, weekly, monthly. So I think that there's going to be some digestive nature needed kind of by the players to say, oh, I can play whole card heads up, and kind of see what that feel is. I mean, for instance, we weren't running a $25 whole card game as of a week or two ago. Now it fills up every single day. So I kind of think that that's just a matter of getting the news out. As far as kind of making bigger GPP plays, I would kind of answer it in the exact same way. I'm exploring more partnerships now in the last month than I did in the first 5 months. So I think if we were to talk about, where that's going in the, a month from now, I would probably have some more answers. 2 months from now, I'd have even more answers.
Right. Okay. So let's say hypothetically I have, a boatload of cash in my back pocket, and I'm an investor, and I say, all right, let's boost up these prize pools. What do you need? Are you looking for investors? Is there any way I can help you? Is there any way that anybody listening may be able to help you guys? I love what you're doing, and like what's going on. So if there's any way that anybody could help, please let us know, and feel free to say whatever you want.
Well, I think, very much like almost any kind of retail scenario, customers vote with their feet. So if the stuff that we're releasing is cool, then people will come and play, and then kind of things will end up taking care of themselves. If it isn't cool, and live ownership or whole card or the beat the score game or zero chip deposit, the list goes on. If none of those things interest people, the site will end up going away, and there won't be bigger prizes, and I'll become a player, as I pointed out at the beginning of this interview. So yeah, I mean, one thing, and I'll make this kind of forward-looking statement. So if you're a founder, whether you're a founder of a DFS company or anything in this world, people will tell you never make forward-looking statements. And the reason is because no matter what, you're going to be made to look foolish. Either something will happen or this or that. But where I will make one, which is I am forever under the impression that when it comes to human gaming, so games that I play against another human being, right now the only human-to-human game that's played in a casino is poker. So there isn't any other game in the world that's ever existed where two people can play against each other. I'm going to be making efforts, and I don't know if I don't know if it's going to happen, but I will tell you that I'm making efforts to bring daily fantasy to casinos. I see a tremendous opportunity in me playing my friends, me playing a lot of people I don't know in a fun casino environment. I'm located here in Michigan, where you could go to a ball game, you could go to a casino, you could go to the Fox Theater, you can do so all within walking distance of each other. What a fun night out. What's something that I know I would love to do. And I know that Michigan is not the only state in the union that represents that. I also don't think that that's the only occurrence where playing daily fantasy at a casino would be a blast. I think that that would be true almost anywhere. I will be pursuing those activities as a kind of promise I would make to any current or future on the play customer, as a commitment I make to any current and future on the play investor, because I do see that as a great opportunity for daily fantasy as a whole, and really a place I plan on bringing our product.
Okay, great. We're getting a few questions in the chat. And
just so you know, Ben, I can't see any of that. So
no problem. Well, that's why I've been.
It's cool.
I've been doing,
it's actually very cool. So I just wanted your audience to know that, like, it's kind of like it's an unscreened question.
Right. You don't see any of that.
I don't get to see it. Yeah.
Right. So one of the questions is, do any of your employees or staff play on the site?
No. What we have talked about, though, is because the beat the score game doesn't involve anyone playing against anyone else, that would be kind of the logical place for us to do a lot of testing. So I could see that happening, but other than that, no.
Are there any states that you guys can't play in, and have any states or attorney generals contacted you, or is it mostly the bigger sites that they have litigation against?
So the other sites are the only states that have been, or the only sites that have been named in litigation. In true fairness, let's say daily fantasy was hammers, right? And these attorney generals went after the two largest sellers of hammers in the world, and they made hammers illegal to sell in their states. I can't imagine me, as a fellow hammer seller, having the ability to sell hammers in their state, knowing that they've outlawed that with the two largest. So I would make that clear. That's kind of my opinion. It does make me in a very peculiar situation where I'm almost rooting in some instances for my competition to win litigation. I don't know of any other situation where that's happened.
Right.
So yeah, has any attorney general contacted me? Unfortunately, no. I will extend myself on this show, as well as in any other interview that I do, to say, hey, attorney generals, I am open to discuss anything about gaming, internet regulation, internet gaming regulation. I don't think that there's a founder in DFS. I don't think there's a founder in all of gaming that could represent themselves as much as a player as I have in my past, and now having raised what is publicly known as about $1 million as a founder, and turn around and create a gaming company. So being able to say I played 6 million hands as a player, left the country because I wanted to continue being a player, came back because I thought I could be a great founder of a gaming company, and then had the support from the financial community of about $1 million to date, I think puts me in a very unique position to be able to speak in both arenas. And I'm open to any attorney general across the country to help shed light on the truth. Because as the audience of you guys know, the truth is on the side of daily fantasy in every instance. We actually, one of the greatest myths that I love debunking is that daily fantasy has created addiction. There is no fact to that. The only fact that is actually coming out is completely the opposite, where human-to-human games have actually caused the least social harm, and in many instances, research out of the UK is proving that human-to-human games create social positives. And they've had over a decade of data to prove that. we've actually had in the United States, because FanDuel, I believe, has been operating for 6 years now. We have 6 years of data to prove that while their company has been in existence, there is zero uptick in any form of addictive gaming. So anyone that starts talking about how, there are these kind of anecdotal cases about this person or that, there's an anecdotal case about walking across the street. You can make anecdotal cases about anything, but the real numbers, the real facts are all on the side of daily fantasy, and really all on the side of human-to-human games of skill. So I love being able to talk about that, and I love being able to reference all the data that proves our point.
That's great, man. I'm glad to hear that, and I like your takes on that, and I don't want to see you challenging any attorney generals, but I'm glad to see that you're open to discussion.
Oh, I feel like none of us are challenging. We're actually all on the same side. The attorney generals want the truth too. I just feel that their interpretation might be a little different than ours. That was the #1 takeaway I got from the 60-minute interview with Schneiderman, the Frontline interview. I'm sure your audience, I reacted incredibly emotionally and vilified this guy, and I don't actually feel like he should be vilified. He's really just enforcing the law in the ways that he, as the Attorney General, has been appointed to do. I think it's on us to kind of bring the facts out, to elect people that might align their way of thinking with ours, and to get legislators to start pushing what is our ideas and our knowledge of the truth.
All right, great. I like that, and I am all for the little guy standing up and what he believes in, and I definitely believe in this, and I have no problem in that. Someone just joined the chat, and even though we went over this a little bit earlier, I think it's good to re-clarify, because I spend all my money on FanDuel, barely any on DraftKings. I have that bankroll that I built up a little bit on your site. So I have a few things going on there, but what specifically differentiates you from FanDuel?
Sure. So we're the only company in daily with live ownership rates. So what that means is you could go to our lobby right now. The NBA starts today at 3:30. As people are drafting players, you'd see the ownership rate fluctuate in real time. So unlike any other company in daily, you're never reading yesterday's news, which is essentially what live ownership is in every other instance except for on the play. You're able to see that data and draft players, read and react. We're the only company that offers deposit bonuses without a drip. We're the only company offering a variety of rush entry tools. That was our first attack at scripts. And then, as Ben was pointing out, kind of his favorite new game, we launched our first new game, which is called Whole Card. And Whole Card is, instead of drafting one player from one team like you do in salary cap, you're drafting the top 3 fantasy scorers from any team, no matter who they are. So in the instance where Ben finished first in that tournament, if we brought up a player card for any of the teams that he drafted, so Ben, if you just click on the Suns,
Yep.
What you'd see is that, so this was an instance where Len, Price, and Booker finished in the top 3. But as we know, Goodwin has finished in the top 3 a lot of nights, and
Right.
PJ Tucker on other nights has finished in the top 3. You'd own those guys no matter who they are, and that's really, really important to point out. And
I'd like to just interrupt real quick and say I'd like to tout myself, because this night in that article, I had Alex Len as one of my only center options. So that's why I actually chose the Suns here, because I like their matchup going against Orlando, and I liked Len a lot. Definitely didn't expect this, but that was definitely a good night. I had him and Giannis as 2 of my top plays when Giannis had the triple-double.
Yeah, I mean, click on the Bucks and you'll see. I mean,
Right.
He went
So guys, so what this means, what this game is, and how it works. You're not looking at the individual players when you're choosing your lineup, right? So let me go down to the worst lineup here. So what you're doing is you're looking at the ownership and price of the team that you're assigned. So, you'll have Oklahoma City and the Thunder. I mean, Oklahoma City Thunder and the Warriors. They're usually like 13 grand, or, then you have like the Philly, they're like 6 grand. So there's a definite range in there, and it changes, per day, per slate. But the thing is, you pick your team, and let's go to the Bucks here. I chose these teams pretty much based on my article and the teams that I liked for that day, and I had a Milwaukee Minnesota stack in my article, and that's what I was talking about all day. So what I liked here is I loved all of these matchups, and personally, I didn't have Greg Monroe. I thought that someone, maybe like an MCW, if he was there, would have done better or something like that. So if Greg Monroe did well here, but if MCW had 35, he'd be on here adding to this total for the team and not Monroe. So it takes the top 3 scoring guys for that night and contributes all that points to your team that you chose. And then you get a final score at the end. And I love this game. I'm actually 6 for 6 on slates. I haven't not cashed yet. I started with $1 and I'm up to 41, and hopefully I'll never have to deposit again on this site. So I love it. I love the game itself. I'm really enjoying it and everything.
Awesome.
Let me fix this.
Ben, and as you said, like, baseball is your favorite sport. I mean, when you end up taking, whether it's the Rockies or Toronto or, hopefully my Tigers as well, like, remember, you're drafting the top 3 fantasy scorers. That's the value you get. And in baseball, at any moment, someone could hit a home run and put themselves into the top 3. So you kind of get that rooting interest until the bottom of the ninth, that last out. So that's really, really cool, and part of kind of what and why the game was developed in the first place.
I love that, and I love the fact that you're doing all this cool stuff. It looks like my camera's messing up again, so we'll just keep it on here for now. I think
Sure.
it's something to do with like when I share the screens and stuff. I'm not really sure, but let me just try this real quick, just see if I could fix it. I just don't want you guys to keep looking at a screen of nothing. But I really appreciate everything you're doing for not just, reaching out to me and everything, but for the community itself. So it's much appreciated. I have no problem, representing you and the things you do. And hopefully in the future, I'd like to have you come on maybe, and we'll do a video series of maybe some strategy and things that, we could just dive right into instead of all the fluff that we talked about today.
Sure.
That would be great. And I'd like to just promote that me and Daily Roto Sharks have collaborated, and I'm using his website, and we're partners now and everything. And so what we're doing is we want to create something like a Roto Academy on Roto Grinders, but turn it into more of coaching and giving out free info and doing all that kind of stuff. So what I'd like to say is we want to do instructional videos and tutorials and stuff like that, and really teach people the ins and outs of how to play. So that's just one thing we're going to be doing, and I'd like to have different guests on, and we have a lot of great players and people who want to sign up and do this with us, and I'm really glad to have you a part of that. So thank you for reaching out to us and everything. So it's very much appreciated. Oh, we got my camera.
Man, you're a really nice guy.
All right, we're good. So all right, so just one more question before we go, and I think this is definitely a valid question, and I wouldn't say it's a concern, but I definitely I was thinking about this. So T Roy, DFS Daily News, he's someone on Twitter. He promotes a lot of people. He sheds light on a lot of people in the DFS community. He's been doing a lot of good things there too, and he's been asking the majority of the questions here, which I have no problem with, and I've actually liked a lot of the questions. So he says, I've made over 10K on Fanduel. Is it possible to make that much on that site? Higher GPPs. I like to play 200 50-50s. Need more 50-50s. And and that definitely goes along with the question of what do you guys plan to do when it comes to making GPPs bigger and all that stuff. But I know you said when things fill, they refill. So do you plan on putting a bunch of duplicate types of entries in the lobby, or is this something new that you have that also differentiates you from the other sites?
I'm not exactly sure how the other sites handle games when they fill, so I can't really comment on that. One thing that any player could do to see how much they could enter on the play in a given day is you could click NBA, you click salary cap, you click the start time, and click rush entry, and that within 4 clicks you can see every salary cap game that you could currently enter. I think like what the initial first entry, and that would be only salary cap and only NBA, is generally around like $200-300. If you include the NHL, you include whole card, probably upwards of $400 to $500 in a day. And I would note too that some of our larger games, if they fill quicker, we might not respawn them right away. So, for instance, I run a $50 game every day. It looks like it's already filled. That game didn't respawn. But if you were to click NBA, click 330, click rush entry.
NBA.
330, click salary cap 2.
Oh, okay. Salary cap, 330, rush entry.
So from there, you can enter 122 games, or $120 worth of games. We have a $50 game that just filled, so you would have entered, I was right, at about 170 games, and that's entering one time for every game. You could clearly scale that up and increase this more. You could create heads-ups and increase this more. As games fill, like the $10 single entry, that would respawn, so you could re-enter that, and it would start over as 0 out of 10. So the point being is that all the play is going to grow as the community grows.
I really like this. This is awesome. I never really looked into this, so this really correlates into something that my partner CG at Daily Roto Sharks just created on Excel, and I think you would find it interesting. Here, let me see if I could open it up real quick. It's a bankroll worksheet that he made.
Sure.
So it kind of shows you. Let me see, daily game selection. It's kind of like that where he worked it out where let's say your bankroll is $100, right? We put over here, I want to play a $5 head-to-head. I want to play 10 $1. I want to play two $5 50/50s, and I want to enter in one of these single entries, maybe get another a $25 double up. So what he did over here, and which I see from what you have like up here with this, you selected, you entered, and this is your balance, and this is what you're entering and how many. He does that. He did it without even really knowing that you kind of put this together. So he puts it, and then over here it tells you how much you have in play in cash and GPPs, and tells you what your risk according to what your balance and bankroll is, and it's a very simple sheet. So I'd love to share this with you if you want to incorporate that somehow into your site where you're showing the actual risk of what you're entering is compared to your balance. I think that's something that people would really like. I don't know if it's possible, but what do you think about that?
I think it's a really cool tool. I agree myself just as a player. You pointed out, trying to balance. We back?
Yeah, I don't think I was sharing the screen with them before, so I want to make sure they're looking at it.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, the idea of trying to balance the appropriate amount of big tournaments and cash games. I don't necessarily know the exact answer for that. So tools like the one that your friend created, I think, are definitely valuable. And yeah, I mean, I think OwnThePlay is definitely interested in any of this.
Yeah. So he just did this for himself because me and him, we've really been coming up. We've been trying to talk about strategy and how to enter lineups and which contest and game selection and bankroll management. So he created this, and I think it's an excellent tool for people to really see what type of games you should be entering. Right here, if you look, it says, all right, so a moderate cash game level would be 70%, and that's what I have mine at. And now I would be spending $134. That's way above what my bankroll would be. So let me get rid of, these $25 and maybe do, two $5 more. And now this kind of changes. And all right, so I'm being a little more risky here, you see, with the GPPs. I don't want to be that risky. So I could either add more head-to-heads, but let's say I want to bring this total down, and I want to be at a moderate level of $20 for today.
Right.
I would just get rid of these, maybe do the $5, and now I'm at 34, and maybe get rid of those. Now I'm at $24, and if you look, I'm playing almost 80% of my 24 in cash, and so that's a conservative approach. And if I wanted to get more risky, then I would start adding a little bit more of the GPPs. So I think if you added some element like that to your site, where right here when it says you've selected 38 entries, what if it was like you selected 12 cash entries and 6 GPPs? Your risk tolerance is like this. What do you think about that?
Well, I would have to understand a little bit more of the tool and kind of what you're defining as moderate or not. So I guess I just need to know more. Is the
right? Okay, so let me because it's a very easy thing, and you would tell just from looking at what the totals here are and stuff. So what he does is he just adds up all of the entry fees that you'll be playing, and he compares it to what your bankroll is. So let's say you have $100 in your bankroll. You want to be moderately risky for the night and spend 20% is $20, right? So this is telling you right now, okay, I'm a little bit higher than the 20 I wanted to play. So tonight, according to my $100 bankroll, I'm playing 30% of it, and out of that 30%.
Here's what I mean, though. So let's take an instance in exactly what you're describing. So you have two $5 50/50s, two $2 50/50s, and one $5 heads up. Would you be better off playing one $5 heads up or 10 50-cent heads ups against 10 different people?
Right.
I think that I would be recommending playing 10 50-cent heads ups against 10 different people. So I guess what I was getting at, which is I would want to understand a little bit better to what we consider high risk and not. Like, yeah, like I do agree with you that there's definitely a fair a risk parameter to correlating cash and kind of tournaments. Well, at the same time, I think even within those parameters, we would need some kind of clarification that makes it really true. Like, sure, if I'm playing 80-20 cash to tournaments, it sounds better, but what happens if I'm risking $80 in one single heads up? I mean, in no way is that less risky. So I want to make that clear. And to go to the question that was posed to us about how he really likes playing these like huge heads up tournaments or huge 50-50 tournaments, I would want to know kind of what his logic is to that. So what I mean is, is it just like I like playing these in a vacuum and that's who I am? Or I like playing them because I know my competition isn't that good? I like playing them because what? I mean, what is his perceived increased value? Because I kind of feel that he'd probably be getting more value playing an entry or two spread out across a lot of different styles of games. So rather than 20 entries into a $5 game that maybe has 200 total entries,
maybe figure out the risk of the contest itself.
Right. As well as understanding that all opponents aren't valued equally. I mean, I'd like to believe that people would think playing against me would be quite challenging. So if I represent 10% of that opponent player pool, that is so much more difficult than if I represented 1% of that opponent player pool. So I think there's a lot more factors that go into understanding, you know, what the real kind of competitive function that you're trying to achieve is, than just looking at kind of the blanket statement of it. So yeah, especially when we're talking about small percentages, which absolutely add up as we get bigger. And we, I mean, all of us as DFS players. But when we're talking about these really infinitesimal small advantages that we try to gain, we really kind of have to dig into more of the variables, because looking at just everything as a whole in a vacuum would start to give us all disinformation.
Right. One thing that I think is interesting about that, and you know, the different types of games and things that you mentioned, is if you look here, he actually also added in what the potential winnings would be, and you know, of course, that's easier for cash games. But
Yeah.
so what he did is, all he did is times the entry fee by 1.8, you know, assuming some rake, and you get the number of what your cash would be if you cash there. So you know, the double up is 10, and the, you know, the 5 would be 9 or whatever. So you could also do that for the GPPs for whatever the min cash would be, and then associate the fact that you have a 20% chance of hitting that min cash. So I think there's definitely ways to look into it personally. So I think that it's something that may just over time be able to figure out, or whatever. And you know, the fact that you're open to even thinking about it is something awesome. So you know, once again, I appreciate everything that you've done here, and the fact that you've really reached out, and the fact that you've just everything you're doing right now. So
Well,
thank
thanks
you
for the
very much,
love,
Matt.
Ben.
You know, you can find me on xBenJamminx at Twitter. Matt, would you like to plug a little bit?
Sure. And you can come play it on the play right now. Every deposit has 0 drip. Any friend that you refer, if they beat the score that we have in our lobby, you both win. We're the only company in Daily, to my knowledge, that allows friends to transfer money between friends. We launched that, I don't know, within the last 10 days. So it's really a commitment that we make, Ben, to always be evolving, and we prove that with all of the actions.
Great. Well, you know, thank you very much, and I hope you don't mind. But one thing that I was considering while doing this is, you know, when I ask you to give some points, or whatever you're talking about, I kind of just give you the floor and let you go. So what I'd like to do with that is maybe look back through here and kind of cut out some points, and maybe use them as promotional videos of just you talking about the site, and giving you, you know, the forum to say it, and kind of just hearing it from you, and you know, putting some nice edits on it, and really being able to promote that. What do you think?
I mean, that sounds awesome to me, Ben. Please, everyone, use Ben's promo code for being so nice.
Appreciate it, guys. Me and Matt will be definitely doing some stuff in the future. Thank you for everyone tuning in, and hopefully we can really start a great relationship here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this was a blast for me, Ben, so I look forward to the next time.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Hit up Matt. You know, he's accessible yet busy at the same time, but you know, he's done his best to give outreach to the community. So thank you,
Oh
everybody.
yeah, yeah. You can, you know, I'm on Twitter. I'm pretty active. So Matthew Chatlin is my Twitter handle, and as I said to Ben, I mean, I'm DMing with our customers and our, you know, other on the play players all the time. So you know, please, please, and there's no question that nothing we can't talk about. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, ending now. All right, thanks for stopping by, guys. Take care.
Take care. Bye.